Hello creators and welcome to another video. Today we are using the World of Good Sweet Collection to create a beautiful birthday card for my father. I am using quite a few products from the Sweet Collection. There are so many beautiful textures in this sweet that I really wanted to replicate that on the card that I made. I was going to case the catalog, but then I decided to try and wing it on my own. I did not have an idea going into this, and I was just hoping that everything was going to turn out well. This video is full of tricks. I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve, and I hope that you're going to enjoy them. You can find all of the measurements and materials for this card on my blog at MKre8tions.com. You can find the link in the description box below. I'm starting with a very vanilla card base, and I am cutting a card mat out of crumb cake. I'm also going to be using the Memories and More card pack that coordinates with this sweet collection. There are so many awesome prints in this. I have not yet used a Memories and More card pack, but this is so awesome. I really encourage you to try it if you haven't yet. You get lots of different sizes and different prints along with some stickers, and there's beautiful gold foil in here as well. So I picked a small print and a large print that I wanted to use, and then I pulled out one of the sticker sheets that I wanted to use a few stickers from. I am going to start by embossing this piece. You can see that was one of my magic tricks right there, just in and out real quick. So I embossed that with the coordinating textured embossing folder. It's the Old World paper 3D embossing folder. And now I'm going to take this gold foil sticker and I'm going to put it on a piece of black cardstock. Now you can see that I'm being very careful to put the inside pieces back onto the sticker sheet because I want to use that on another piece of this card, and you'll see that in just a little bit. So I'm trying to put it back onto the sticker sheet so I don't lose any of those gold foil pieces. I'm going to put this onto black cardstock, and then I am going to trim it with my snips. And I do apologize if I sound a bit stuffy. I have allergies, and today has been so bad for them. I have a lot of sinus pressure, and I have a headache, but I'm trying to get this video out for you guys and make sure that I can get it out for my creators blog hop. So again, don't forget to go into the description box below, click on the coordinating blog post link, and you can hop along with all of the other wonderfully talented demonstrators in the hop. This is a piece of contact paper that I'm using to pick up all of those scrap gold pieces that were left over from when I took my sticker off. I really wanted to not waste any of this beautiful gold, so I decided to use my contact paper to peel it off, and I'm going to stick it onto the black cardstock and make another one of those worlds. Now, when I use this contact paper, a little bit of the gold foil did come off, so it gave it a very rustic look, and that's kind of what shaped this whole card for me, was this moment right here. So when I peel that off, you can kind of see some residual on the contact paper, and there was a little bit of stickiness to it. So I took my embossing buddy and I just pounced on it a couple of times, and that gave it a chalky, kind of antiqued look, so I decided to go with it. I used a sponge dauber with a little bit of the early espresso ink, and then I just kind of rubbed it over the top of that to try and darken it up a little bit, and I think that it turned out really well. I'm just brushing off a little bit of that excess powder right here with my little paintbrush thing. And once I am done daubing it with that ink, I'm going to take a 1.5 inch circle punch and I'm going to punch this globe out. I'm also going to punch a 2-inch circle out of a sheet of vellum cardstock. I knew I wanted to incorporate this on my card somehow, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I thought at first about doing a kind of dome over the top of the globe, but it wasn't quite going to work the way I was thinking. So I decided to kind of put some of the trim, the gold trim from the Forever Greenery Sweet Collection, and I cut up little tiny pieces and I put it onto the globe, thinking that it would be kind of like a shaker card effect and that I could glue this vellum on top of it. And that is what I did, but it's not quite the shaker card effect that I was going for. But I decided to go with it, and I'm really happy I did because I did something really fun with this closer to the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. I'm using my liquid adhesive to go around the outside edges of the globe, and then I'm going to adhere my vellum to that. I'm going to set it aside so that it can dry. To add to the weathered and textured look of this card, I'm taking my sponge dauber with some of that early espresso ink and I'm just running it over that paper that I put into my embossing folder earlier. This just gives it another dimension of flavor, if you will, and it just makes it look a little bit more weathered, and I really liked how it came out. I'm also going to distress the edges of my crumb cake cardstock, and later on in the video I'm going to do the same with my very vanilla card base. And now I'm using this beautiful black and gold paper on here. I want to make a card mat, but I used all of my magic earlier. Nothing is working. Okay, hold on. Let me try one more thing. There we go. Now it's the right size. So I'm going to put this on as a card mat, and then I'm going to put my textured paper on top of it. At this point, I still didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do, so I started layering things just to see if anything would spark my imagination. So at this point, I decided to start stamping. I'm going to use the beautiful stamp that says, "You make the world a better place." That's going to be the focal image on this card. I'm also going to use a couple of those pretty flourishes, and I'm going to use a little bit more magic to get these stuck down to their stickers. I sure hope I didn't run out of any tricks because I think I'm going to need them here. Now let's see if I just kind of smash a little bit, and hey, there we go. Okay, the stickers are on. I'm going to mount these onto my acrylic blocks. I think I have a couple tricks left, so let's just, there we go. Okay, mounted. Now I'm going to grab a scrap piece of very vanilla cardstock and my early espresso ink. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to fussy cut this out with some scissors later. I'm also going to stamp quite a few of these flourishes, even though I only used, I think, 3 of each on my final card. I just wanted to stamp quite a few so that I had a selection when I got to the point of deciding where to put them. You know, this fussy cutting is for the birds. Let's try this. There we go. That is so much easier. Okay, now that all of those have been cut out, we're going to bring that globe back in with the vellum on it. I'm going to start by trimming the vellum off. I'm not quite sure that my shaker card idea for this really came to fruition, so I'm going to go a different route. As soon as I get all of this trimmed off, I'm going to use a sponge dauber to daub the outside of the vellum to try and give it a little bit more dimension and texture, and I didn't quite like how that turned out either. So I decided to try one more thing, and I took some snips and I made a hole in the center of the vellum, just the vellum layer, not all the way through. And then I just started to tear it open, and I thought that this was really kind of cool. I liked the torn edges and the rough textures that it gave this card. It was kind of the weathered and antiqued look I was going for, and the little gold trim pieces that I trimmed up earlier that were inside kind of got stuck into the glue, and they just kind of added to the really old world look, if you will. And I really enjoyed how this came out, so I decided to go with it. And I made it one of the featured elements on this card by raising it way up with dimensionals. So now I'm just kind of playing around with everything, trying to figure out placement, how I want everything to go. I decided that the off-centered, lopsided, crooked, whatever you want to call it, method was the best for this card. So I took this beautiful black and gold foil piece and I offset it on my crumb cake mat. And then I did the same with the textured paper piece, but I tilted that to the left instead of to the right. This one I was going to put on with some Stampin' dimensionals, but it's always kind of a pain to tear off all those little backing pieces. So I'm going to pull another trick out of my sleeve and let's just see if this is going to work. So give it a 1, 2, and hey, there we go. So I'm going to stick that down. I love adding dimension to cards that I don't have to mail. This is a card for my father's birthday, and his birthday is on Monday, but we're going to celebrate it next weekend. So I wanted to really add a lot of dimension and layers to this, and you'll see in a little bit just how much dimension I'm going to give it. I went ahead and put my globes down with some dimension. The first globe I put down is 1 layer of dimensionals, and this globe I'm putting down is 2 layers of dimensionals stacked on top of each other. I love using this technique because it just adds so much dimension and fun to the card. Could I say dimension any more times? Probably, but I'll try not to. So I am just going to get that adhered down into each opposite corner, and then I'm going to start assembling my other elements. I knew that the sentiment was going to be in the middle and it was going to be my focal point, so I wanted to build around that. I took another one of those gold foil stickers from the Memories and More card pack and I put that down in the middle, and then I wanted to use this fun feather or quill, but it just was too white. It was too stark. It was too colorful. I wanted to dirty it up a bit. So I took my scissors and I just rubbed around the edge of the feather to rough it up. And then I also took my sponge dauber with that ink on it and I just ran that over to kind of give it a more distressed feel so that it really went with the aesthetic of the card that I was going for. Now it was just a matter of placement, where I wanted to put this. I tried a couple different areas and finally I decided to put it kind of off to the right on top of that gold foil piece. And then I took those flourish images and I put them onto some glue dots so that I could sprinkle them around the card. Okay, now it's time to sponge daub the edges of my sentiment, and where's my sponge dauber? Where did it? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to sponge around the outside of my sentiment just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension as well. And then I'm going to really raise the roof on this guy. I'm going to raise him up with 3 dimensionals high. This is probably the highest I've ever gone on a card before. I really didn't put any brakes on using these dimensionals up. I centered that onto my card on top of that gold foil sticker, and this really made the dimension just pop. I mean, look at that. It just looks so fun. I did mount that onto my Very Vanilla card base, and as I said before, I wanted to distress the edges of this so that it coincided with the look I had going. Really rustic, really weathered, antique-y, distressed, all of the adjectives I can think of off the top of my head. And I'm going to get this put down with my liquid glue. This liquid glue is amazing, and as you can see, when I get this down, I had to move it around just slightly to make sure that I got everything okay and double check that it is the correct orientation. I have made that mistake before, don't want to make it again. So now it's time to decorate the inside of our card. I decided to use some of those stickers because that was the fastest and I was getting very tired and my allergies were just kicking my butt today. So I wanted to put these images down, and then I am working on my hand lettering. So I decided to try to hand letter happy birthday on the inside. Even though it didn't turn out how I had envisioned, it didn't turn out too horribly and I didn't feel like I needed to cover it up. So I think this card came out really nice. I was really happy with the end result, and I hope that you are too. Thank you so much for joining me for the Creators Blog Hop and for this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you can be notified of future videos. Head down into the description box of this video so that you can click on the coordinating blog post link so that you can hop along with all of the other wonderfully talented demonstrators who are participating in this month's hop. The theme is masculine, so I hope that you get lots of great card ideas for those special guys in your life. You can find me on the web at MKre8tions.com. I'm also on social media with the handle at MKre8tions. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!